What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, with another edition of Where, Pick, and Dare, where I pick games for the various games that are occurring tomorrow. Whether it's football, baseball, basketball, basically whatever games I want to pick, I will pick them. With all that being said, on with the video. NBA. Cleveland Cavaliers versus New York Knicks. The Cavs have a 52.1% chance to win, and the Knicks have a 47.9% chance to win. This is at New York. So yeah, this could be interesting game. Cavaliers were like top ranked team in the East last year. The Knicks were pretty high up there. With injuries, obviously Karl Anthony Towns for Knicks, that's a big injury. Like, I think this could be a good game, especially starting out, you know, with all the players that each of them have. This could be I think it could be a close game. I think it'd be pretty close. Donovan Mitchell, Lonzo Ball, a lot of the Larry Nance Jr. A lot of players that the Cavs have, they can make things interesting. I think the Knicks, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, you know, Kevin McCullough Jr., Karl Anthony Towns. Like, this could be a good season. Now with Towns and Hart being hurt, that causes some issues, but I think with it being at New York, I think the Knicks will beat the Cavaliers tomorrow. Brooklyn Nets versus Charlotte Hornets. The Nets have a 39.8% chance to win, and the Hornets have a 60.2% chance to win. This is at Charlotte. Yeah, so this is definitely one of your lower level games. I mean, these are teams I have a lot of confidence in, but some interesting players. Zaire Williams, Michael Porter Jr. for the Nets. Then you have for the Hornets, with LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, Josh Green. You know, well, Grant Williams is hurt, but he makes things interesting. Like he's a Grant Williams can make things interesting. He's not a star player, but he's a guy who can affect things in his own way. I mean, I not expecting much of this game. It could be pretty low scoring. I think with it being at Charlotte, I think the Hornets will beat the Nets tomorrow. Miami Heat versus Orlando Magic. The Heat have a 30.1% chance to win, and the Magic have a 69.9% chance to win. This is at Orlando. So, this is, I mean, percentages are skewed in favor of Orlando. You understand, I mean, Miami having one of the best coaches in the league. Of course, obviously they've lost a lot of stuff in with roster with Jimmy Butler leaving, but you have Bam Adebayo, Nikola Jovic, David Mitchell, Terry Rozier, Drew Smith, Andrew Wiggins. Like it's not a terrible roster. It's not that great, but I do like Spoelstra as a coach. And with Orlando, you have a Jonathan Isaac, Jace Richardson, Orlando Robinson, Jalen Suggs. I mean, I don't know. The rosters are concerning. I mean, I think Miami has the better coach, but with it being at Orlando, with it being the first week, I think Orlando's going to beat Miami tomorrow. Raptors versus Atlanta Hawks. The Raptors have a 29.8% chance to win, and the Hawks have a 70.2% chance to win. This is at Atlanta. So, you know, Raptors and Hawks, they're kind of like at that tier where they can contend, but they also contend and not making it. It's a weird tier to be in. And with the Raptors, you have Brandon Ingram, R.J. Barrett, Jacoby Wade, Walter, Jonathan Mogbo. An interesting roster. Then you have with the Hawks, of course, Trey Young, the big star. Like that's the big star, of course. You know, Kristaps Porzingis, Jalen Johnson. You know, I think with Trey Young being as good as he is, and with it being at Atlanta, like I mean, Trey Young is, I think, like the best player on the court, like in this game. With that, and with it being Atlanta, I think the Hawks are gonna beat the Raptors tomorrow. Philadelphia 76ers versus Boston Celtics. The Sixers have a 51.9% chance to win, and the Celtics have a 48.1% chance to win. This is at Boston. So, yeah, this is definitely one of the better games tomorrow. Like, I mean, for the Sixers, you have Andre Drummond, Joel Embiid, Paul George, Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry. You know, that's not a terrible roster. I like that roster. Of course, with the Celtics, you have Jalen Brown, Luka Garza, um, Jason Tatum, Mark Williams. Like not a bad roster. Like, I think you could say the Sixers have the better roster, but Boston, they generally play very well together, generally very well coached. It's at Boston. So I think the Celtics will beat the Sixers tomorrow. Pistons versus Chicago Bulls. The Pistons have a 59.5% chance to win. The Bulls have a 40.5% chance to win. This is at Chicago. So yeah, another interesting game. Obviously for the Pistons, you have Kate Cunningham, Javante Green, Tobias Harris, Duncan Robinson, Isaiah Stewart, Oscar Thompson. For the Bulls, you have you know, Josh Giddey, Jevon Carter, Emmanuel Biller, Isaac Okoro. Huh. Yeah, I think the Pistons definitely have a better roster than the Bulls. This is at Chicago, but I think with the roster the Pistons have in comparison, I think the Pistons will beat the Bulls tomorrow. New Orleans Pelicans versus Memphis Grizzlies. The Pelicans have a 36.2% chance to win, and the Grizzlies have a 63.8% chance to win. This is at Memphis. So, yeah, this could be it's an interesting one. So for the Pelicans, you have Jordan Poole, Zion Wilson, Williamson, Trey Alexander, Trey Murphy III, Javante Murray, or DeJounte Murray, whatever, Micah Peavy. And with the Grizzlies, you have Ja Morant, as long as he doesn't like get hurt or get suspended or whatever. Sky Pippen Jr., Joe Wells, Cam Spencer. You know, you know, these probably like these are like not the greatest rosters, but they can make things interesting. I think with it being at Memphis, and with it being so early in the season that there's not really any issues probably right now with John Morant that I'm aware of. I think the Grizzlies will beat the Pelicans tomorrow. Washington Wizards versus Milwaukee Bucks. The Wizards have a 20.5% chance to win, and the Bucks have a 79.5% chance to win. This is at Milwaukee. Yeah. Um, there's a reason the Bucks are favorites. I mean, the Wizards, they have Barton Braggley third. Um, AJ Johnson, Trey Johnson, CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton, um, Cam Whitmore, but and a few others. But we know what the Bucks have. We know what the Bucks have. You have the Antetokounmpo brother. Like you have everyone from the Antetokounmpos, Alex Giannis, Thanasis, Cole Anthony, AJ Green, Gary Harris, Andre Jackson Jr., Kyle Kuzma, Kevin Porter Jr., Miles Turner. It's a good freaking team. That's a very good team. I think with the rosters and with it being at Milwaukee, I think the Bucks are gonna beat the Wizards tomorrow. Los Angeles Clippers versus Utah Jazz. The Clippers have a 74.2% chance to win. Jazz have a 25.8% chance to win. This is at Utah. So, it actually could be a very good one. Like, actually, a pretty good one. Clippers have, Bradley Beal, James Harden, Derrick Jones Jr., Kawhi Leonard, Chris Paul. Like, I on paper, one of the best rosters in the league. With the Jazz, you have Ace Bailey, Kyle Anderson, Keontae George, Kevin Love. You know, I mean, yeah, this roster is definitely on the level of the Clippers, even though it's at Utah, and that should matter for something. I think with the roster the Clippers have, and with it being this early in the season, to where injuries shouldn't be an issue, at least as big. I think the Clippers will beat the Jazz tomorrow. San Antonio Spurs versus Dallas Mavericks. So the Spurs have a 42.8% chance to win, and the Mavs have a 57.2% chance to win. This is at Dallas, so Spurs first season without Popovich. We'll see how it goes. And obviously their roster, you have Darren Fox, Dylan Harper, Victor Wembanyama, however it's pronounced. Dallas Mavericks. Obviously they have Kyrie Irving, the big star there, D'Angelo Russell, Klay Thompson, Brandon Williams, Cooper Flag. Like pretty good roster for the West. Like for them. Like that's a playoff worthy team based on paper. With the roster difference and with it being at Dallas, I'm picking the Mavericks to beat the Spurs tomorrow. Sacramento Kings versus Phoenix Suns. The Kings have a 38.2% chance to win, and the Suns have a 61.8% chance to win. This is at Phoenix, so it's Sacramento. You have, Devin Carter, Keanu Ellis, Isaac Jones, Malik Monk, Dennis Schroeder, Russell Westbrook. Westbrooks with the Kings, man. I didn't know what had happened to him. Then with the Suns, of course, you have Devin Booker, Dylan Brooks, Grayson Allen, Colin Gillespie, Jalen Green. You know, yeah, I, you know, these rosters, they're not some star power ones, but they both like I think could be adequate rosters. But with it being at Phoenix, I think the Suns will beat the Kings tomorrow. Minnesota Timberwolves versus Portland Trail Blazers. The Wolves have a 64.7% chance to win, and the Blazers have a 35.3% chance to win. This is at Portland. So, you know, hmm, yeah, it could be. I mean, this could be a good game. With the Wolves, you have Anthony Edwards, Gobert, Julius Randle. Yeah, yeah, I'm not. I kind of like this roster. The Blazers, have Drew Holiday, Caleb Love, Robert Williams III, Shan Sharp, Damian Lillard. Yeah, Lillard's a big star. The Blazers. I mean, Lillard, I think, is the best player on the court in this game. And with it being at Portland, I think the Blazers will beat the Wolves tomorrow. And that's it for picks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my picks. Do you agree with them? Do you not? If you have different picks, you can put them in the comments. But other than that, please like, subscribe, and all that. Thank you for listening, and look forward to the next video.